We are awakening together. This is our weekly gathering we hold online. For more information, visit our website, awakening-together.org. We'd love to see you there.
Okay. Wonderful. Hey, welcome everybody. Good to be with you. Rhoda's helping me with her computer. And I just want to welcome everyone. This is our weekly gathering here at Awakening Together. And what we do first is we ask Marisol, our sanctuary director, if she'll play our opening song, and then we welcome each other on the board as if we were in a church and we could reach across the pew. But we do that on the chat to say where we're from, say hello. So Marisol, if you could play our opening song. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Marisol. And thank you all. Welcome again. It's good to be here. I am going to read our purpose here at Awakening Together. And then the core value. Every week, the minister picks a core value that they've contemplated this week, and then they share whatever's come. And this is Awakening Together's purpose. I guess I'll say first that we just got back from a pilgrimage, spending a week together. And at this core value and this purpose is so alive for me. Just seeing the divine in all of our brothers and sisters and everyone we met, and all the rain and the sun and everything else we were met with. It's just joyous. So I say with full conviction that Awakening Together is an assembly of equals, and we are joined in common purpose. We are all awakening to the one true self. And within an appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols, we, the members, we seek to discern ongoingly one truth and to rest in its embrace. Lucky us. How did we get so lucky? It's just amazing, isn't it? Okay, so the core value that I contemplated this week, and I'm going to share some about today, is core value number 5, which is that we accept all forms, everything that happens, all the feelings, all the thoughts, all the emotions, all forms, as temporary appearances that are permitted through an enduring awareness of self. And how we live this value is by honoring all the appearances and all the experiences that come, that life brings on life's terms, while continually reflecting on the changeless truth that we are, on the truth that is experiencing all of the temporary experiences and honoring them as just a little emanation of itself in perhaps a slightly different form or a very, very different form. But that's core value 5. And so now what we do is we turn to the announcements. Thank you, Rhoda. Appreciate you both. Okay, so the next thing I read that is the song. So we're going to play our song. Let me say a thing or two before the song, because the song is certainly not a song that I would have ever expected to hear at any kind of service or a Sunday gathering or anything else of that ilk. But I want to share with you first to kind of set this up. But well, first of all, you can just enjoy the song, but maybe I'll just share with you how I thought of it. So the song is by Don McLean. It's Bye Bye American Pie. So and here's the segue. The title of today's homily is Distorted Beliefs and Repressed Emotions. And I found that song to just be so helpful for me to get in touch with a whole bunch of that. I'll read you the description of what the title seeks to point to. At some point on the spiritual path, it becomes clear that to genuinely know the truth of what we are and to truly live from it, we must reckon with every untrue belief at the core of our false sense of self. Often these foundational false beliefs have been accepted so habitually for so long that it was simply never before available to question them. Once these distorted beliefs pop into our awareness, their appearance can feel jarring, unexpected, and very, very uncomfortable. And as I was contemplating our core value in this homily and walking around, which airport was it? Somewhere, maybe Dallas. But and then you know how YouTube just picks your next song sometimes when you don't want to mess with it. And American Pie came on. It was like I just was shown. I was shown a lot, and I'll share about that. But we'll play that song now with that intro, and we'll all just experience whatever comes up for us. So Marisol, if you get to play that song, thank you. So now is when we continue into the devotional part of the service. I have an inspirational prayer and invocation. So if you feel called, please join me. Noticing that attention's been outward, perhaps singing, perhaps dancing, or perhaps it's been inward contemplating. But wherever it's been, whatever journey attention's been on, we've been noticing it. We've been observing it. And my prayer today for all of us is that we turn within to see if we recall what was revealed the day the music seemed to die for us. So we're turning within to find the places in us where we might be still holding energy around distorted beliefs and repressed emotions. And we're willing to invite them into the light. We're willing to ask, what is to be revealed today when I look within and give my willingness to see all the blocks to the awareness of love's presence that perhaps have been patterned in over a lifetime. That is my prayer. That is our prayer. And so it is. Thank you. And now we're going to have a reading from Angelo Dilullo's book, Awake. And Monica is here and has agreed to be the reader. We so appreciate that. So I'd like to turn this over to Monica. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Ann, for asking me to read. It's an honor. Chapter 1, A Word of Caution, The Ultimate Adventure. Every human on the face of the earth has the capacity to live a life of spontaneity, peace, and wonder, beyond that can be imagined. You have the potential to put an end to suffering in this lifetime. It is natural to have doubts when hearing statements like these. As a discerning reader, you might be wondering, is this an exaggeration? Or is this some sort of positive thinking strategy? I assure you this is no exaggeration, and it has nothing to do with positive thinking. These are simple statements of truth that I've found to be accurate again and again, and those who are willing to sincerely investigate their deepest nature. By the way, your deepest nature happens to be synonymous with the deepest nature of the cosmos. Out of that parity arises the fundamental and unshakable realization of interconnectedness and synchronicity with all things, beings, and situations. Many people, myself included, have gone through this process and have been astounded again and again by the ever-deepening clarity and radical absorption into all of life. This truly is the ultimate adventure. When Luke Skywalker told Yoda, "I won't fail you," I'm not afraid. Yoda answered grimly. Oh, you will be. You will be. With all of that said, I would be remiss in my duties if I didn't caution you on a few points. It goes without saying that no endeavor of this magnitude comes without discomfort, change, and sacrifice. While these elements will certainly come into play, it may not be the ways you might think. This process isn't about dropping out of life to meditate in a cave for years on end. It isn't about giving up all your material possessions. It isn't about giving your will over to some religious figure or system. In a sense, it's more challenging than any of those scenarios. This is about waking up in your life exactly as it is. Stated this way, it may not sound like sacrifice, change, or discomfort will be necessary, but make no mistake about it, you will be challenged in ways that will surprise you and that you can't really prepare for. You will see things in yourself that you never knew were there. In fact, you will face every distorted belief and repressed emotion that is hidden inside of you at one point or another. What's more, the old strategies of avoidance, distraction, and resistance will become less viable options as realization deepens. You will never be left empty-handed or completely out in the cold. You will be given many tools to navigate these sometimes unpredictable and challenging waters, but you will have to navigate them. There will be shifts in the ways you perceive reality. There will be moments when you feel disoriented. Those moments will pass. There will also be times when you, or at least part of you, will wish you had never begun this journey. Those times will pass as well. You will never be given more than you can tolerate, but this will not always be a walk in the park either. You won't always face this process courageously or even by choice. The investigations, contemplations, and practices described in this book are exceptionally potent. By following them, you are initiating a process that will, in many ways, overtake you. That may sound scary, but the you that is overtaken is a limited version of what you truly are. This false identity must be seen through in order to wake up to the boundless and timeless reality that is your essential nature. We will be working at the level of your identity, which is the most foundational sense of who and what you take yourself to be. This is the most radical transformation that is available to you in this lifetime, bar none. I'm neither saying these things to scare nor impress you. I'm saying them simply because they are true. Anyone I've ever worked with who has genuinely taken up this investigation will tell you that this is no exaggeration. It leads to processes that cannot be undone once started. Please keep in mind, first and foremost, the techniques, contemplations, and inquiries described in this book are extremely potent. These transformations occur at the identity level. Alterations and disentanglements will occur in the fabric of what makes you, you. Unconscious places will become fully conscious. You will see things you don't always want to see in yourself. You are voluntarily coming into contact with forces that are vastly more powerful than you or anyone can begin to imagine. Awakening plays out on its own schedule, not yours. There will be aspects of this process that seem to be taking way too long. There will also be aspects of this process that come way too fast for your comfort. There will be experiences and events along this path that will surprise you. In many ways, this is a mysterious process, and this will arise at times and in ways that you cannot prepare for. Ultimately, this turns out to be okay because you have the innate capacity to integrate these eventualities. You do have the capacity for this. Just know it is largely dormant. Therefore, some internal shifts will have to occur to allow you to tap into it. If this all sounds like what you are interested in, then great. You will find this to be the adventure of all adventures. If it's not your priority at this time in life, then by all means, put it aside and pursue what most authentically moves you. This book will always be available if you choose to return and readdress this matter. There is no judgment for me or the universe. If you genuinely feel that it is your path to be an exceptional parent and raise a family, then that is exactly what you should be doing. If you want to throw yourself fully into art or music, then that is exactly what you should do. If you feel genuinely moved to pursue a life of scientific investigation, then by all means, go do that. This is your life. So doing what feels most authentic and relevant to you, regardless of social expectation, is what will be most fulfilling. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Monica. Beautiful. Beautifully read. Well, as I contemplated this this very beginning chapter of Angelo Dilullo's book, it felt to me like a roadmap, even just right from the jump. Like, this is what's going to happen. And it's very helpful for me to know what's going to happen. It's especially kind to be met exactly where I am as it's happening. So I love the quote and I so beautifully read, Monica, thank you. So there's this, after Angelo talks about the ultimate adventure, he puts in, as he does so many times in his so readable book, Awake, Luke Skywalker, I won't fail you. I'm not afraid. Yoda, grimly, oh, you will be. Oh, you will be. And I guess that's kind of what I want to share today. I want to share my experience of how this actually plays out. I got the title directly for this homily directly from this reading that was just read, because he says, in fact, you will face every distorted belief and repressed emotion that is hidden inside you at one point or another. And then the second sentence was equally apropos. What's more, the old strategies of avoidance, distraction, and resistance will become less viable options. There's just a point at which you don't want to look away. There's a point at which it's like, well, this is what's here, and this is between me and really knowing the truth of me and just resting in peace. So can I rest in peace with this? And if I can't rest in peace with this, can I rest anyway with this? and so the answer has been yes. I also, just before I share a little bit of my contemplations, I love when he says, you won't always face this process courageously or even by choice. And I would say that definitely tracks from my experience. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's times where I hugely feel like there's a whole bunch of courage. And sometimes I feel like I'm really doing my best to just kind of slightly look away. And I don't feel like it's a choice. I feel like it's just being brought right back into my face. And then at that point, we, dear reader, have a choice, to quote Michael Langford. And I guess that's the core of what I want to talk about today. So in the life of Anne, there's been this story, and I don't even know how to describe it. Well, okay, so I've always always felt, and I imagine everyone does, so I don't want to like claim a specialness here, but I've only ever been in here, so I can only speak for me. But I've always felt like this was wrong. Like my body was kind of wrong, even though I played sports and it worked really well. And I did quite a number of real super fun, satisfying things with it. It just always felt wrong. And I felt wrong in it. It felt like it was the fit wasn't right. And then I would just, repress that and move on and do the next thing. But it's this lingering, not comfortable in my own skin. So for as long as I can remember, my mom would, being a young girl, she would just hound me to wear dresses. Are you going to wear a dress today? And it was like, oh God, I hope not. Like, oh God, no. And I had an idea, so I had an older brother, and who, rode his bike and climbed trees and, dove and swam, and you weren't allowed to do any of that in a dress, right? So I think early on, I decided, no way, I want to wear what makes me be able to feel free and do whatever I want, mostly to have fun, right? To explore, right? So I've always kind of known that, but in the last couple, maybe months, I don't know. Well, I've been noticing that there's a much more immediate discomfort with my body, and I realized that I kind of made this little accommodation in my own mind and my own self-image. It's like, I ain't ever wearing makeup, I am not putting on lipstick, and I am not wearing a dress. But in my own mind, what I'm coming to know is what I did say is, okay, to be acceptable, I'll be thin. Okay, so I'm not gonna paint this up and put on the costume like a girl, but at least I'll do that other third rail of feminine, which is at least be thin, at least be thinnish, right? And what I've noticed since Mom died and since Reggie died is I've just got this appetite. I'm kind of an appetite for life, and with an appetite, and also I'm just doing a lot more things with a lot more people, and there's just tons more food. And I realized that, and so I'm gaining weight. It's not the first time I've gained weight, but what I'm seeing for the first time is this strategy of, I'll just like, I will just, and there's nothing wrong with when you gain weight wanting to eat less food, because you will then lose weight, but it's the motive for doing it. I've never noticed that before. I have never noticed oh, you fat pig. I've never noticed, there's no way you should eat. I mean, just this ongoing internal meanness that kind of shames me out of food and eating. And so it's been great this last week on the pilgrimage to explore this, because first of all, my body just doesn't need 3 meals a day. It just doesn't. It doesn't need 3 meals every day for 7 days in a row. And yet I'm noticing that I'm not eating as much out of fear and out of shame and out of like, oh no, I can't continue to put on weight and then not be feminine and then feel like I don't fit even more. So I've been checking in. Do I have guidance to join? And we are with some people who love fine dining and love to eat 3 meals. And so I've just been giving myself to that. And what I realized is there's this core self-hatred that comes up really nasty. I mean, when we're in really nice restaurants, you've got a whole menu. I've got a whole menu in front of me. It's like, oh, there's no way, get the salad. It's like, get the salad, you fat pig. And it's like, and it's like, don't, and I'll look over here and this will look good. This will look good. Oh, no, you can't do that. And there's an intense fear, and there's an unmistakable self-hatred coming in, and there's a clench. And so I asked so I was playing this song as I was exploring all this. I don't know how to make that not do that. Okay. So the day the music died. So coming back to that song, do you recall what was revealed the day the music died? What I got clear in my mind as I was just asking to be shown, what is at the bottom of the self-hatred? I mean, because I would tell you, I used to hate myself and now I love myself. I did. I used to pay therapists lots of money to try to get them to join me in hating the Anne character, because I would tell them all the things I did that were bad and crazy and all that. I mean, good money, lots of money. And I would have told you that had pretty much healed, and I love myself. I think I'm doing just fine, and I actually don't even really believe this character's me. And yet that wasn't the the reality of what I was living when faced with these food choices. So I asked to be shown, and it came in really, really clearly. So I'm going to share with you the day the music died for me. I'm just going to start reading. I wrote it out because I can tell a story for an hour and a half. Okay. After school, so I don't know, 7 or 8, maybe. I don't know the year, but I know I wasn't, all that far along in my elementary school time. After school, oh, that's right. So after school, I hatched a plan. Mom was pressuring me to wear dresses, and I don't know how I came up with it, but I decided that the way to get Mom to like me, to accept me, to approve of me, is to agree to wear a dress. So I'd leave the house with a dress, but I would stash a pair of shorts and some sneakers and a t-shirt in the Wonderlies in our neighbor's house. So I would leave my mom and I would go to the neighbors and I would change, and then I'd head over to school. I don't know, like 5, 6, 10 blocks away. Not far. Okay. I left in the dress. And I just never forget my mom smiling. And I was so relieved that she was smiling. She was pleased with me. And I, detoured over to the Wonderly's backyard, and I quickly changed into the shorts and the shirt, and I headed on to school. And then something really incredible happened. I got back a test that I was sure I had not done well on, and it was the first time I ever got an A. It was just amazing. And Mom had helped me study, and I was always so nervous about school. I was pretty much nervous about everything. So I got this A, and I was stunned. It was the first time that I can recall that I got an A. I was proud. I was excited. And school got out, and I literally ran all the way home. Not something I usually did. Not something I probably ever did again or before. I burst into our house, still carrying the test with the big A on it. And I showed it to my mom. And I can still recall the second that my eyes met hers. And it became clear I had made a critical mistake. Her eyes didn't meet mine. Her eyes were looking at my body. I felt, and I can get in touch with it. So immediately, I felt this shame and this hardness and this terror. And what I saw in her eyes was hardness and shame and anger and disdain. I pushed on and tried to tell her about the A, offering the paper to her, and she just stood there, ramrod still frozen, apparently just not moving her hand towards the paper. Her face was blank, and I could just see what appeared to be she was very offended, very hurt. The silence between us was deafening, and just pierced my chest like a knife. And there's that point in the song where it says, I couldn't take one more step, where you just can't move. And I can't remember if I cried, but something touched me deep inside. Well, she said, where's your dress? What are you wearing? And I honestly have no idea what I said, but I know precisely how I felt. And I felt crushed, and I felt humiliated. And I felt so small, so wrong, so guilty, so bad. Felt like someone had just hit me with a 2x4 in the chest. I remember just this explosive pain. And it just felt like I was dying. It felt like I was just draining out right there. So when the song says, I don't remember if I cried, I know I didn't cry, but I did. I did wet my pants right there and just stood there, terrified and humiliated. And I have no memories of what came next in form in the story. Like I have no idea. I've looked, I've just prayed and waited, but apparently that's not to come. But I know precisely what came next in my felt sense, which is this is just this very tactile feeling like something had died, like the free, expressive, confident, proud, energetic, playful, spontaneous part of me just got extinguished, just died. I also do know what I do know now. It's amazing. It's just amazing. Because it's not like I didn't know that happened in my life. Like if you knew me and we were friends or God forbid we were dating, there would come a point where I would have told you the birthday story when my whole family went to the beach and left me on my birthday. That would have been a moment. And then I would have also shared with you the moment that I walked in and my mom just felt like disgusted that I wasn't complying with this wearing the dress thing. But for the first time ever, I could see, and I can see what happened next in my mind. Isn't that something? So this is what happened next in my mind. I decided right then, it was not safe to be me. It was not okay to be me. It was not acceptable to be me. That I can't express myself safely and correctly if I express myself freely. Just from what happens, just the what happens next thing. Like that became no. I recall vividly now, I can see deciding on a plan B of making an alternate version of me so as never to experience that pain again, that rejection again, that humiliation again. Like this shit ain't happening again. I decided that this was proof that I was fundamentally unsafe in my unguarded, unmasked self. I remember this so vividly too. I started to study my mom carefully for signs that I was pleasing to her, or at least not displeasing. I started to become acutely focused on the littlest signs. So it's hard to explain. See how we're doing, 9:08. Okay. So it's hard to explain how all pervading this was. And this is where it began. This sense I will die if she's not happy. I will die if she doesn't approve of me. I mean, I made all that up. But I spent my childhood largely, even when things were happy and things were going okay, I'd be looking over her because at any moment, and it's not like it happened every day. I'm sure it didn't happen even all that often, but I never knew when she would look at me and go, "You look like a boy." She'd say, "You look like the toughest kid on the block." She said, "Why don't you just if you could just smile, do you just smile?" And I remember going, "Like this?" She goes, "No, not like that." And like we used to have these bizarre conversations about, she's like, "It's a social smile. You could just have a social smile." I thought, I don't even know what the fuck's this. I remember I just like further, like I'm just doing it wrong. And now she's trying to help and I can't even understand what the fuck she's saying. But the message was, I am just fundamentally wrong. So at any moment, like even joy and happy wasn't safe because she could look over. And so I was also just constantly looking at me. And, and here's what I think is kind of amazing. What I think is amazing is none of this made me start wearing dresses. I couldn't do it. I don't know what that's about. I'm sure I'll find out, but I couldn't do it. I could not do it. I did not feel safe. I did not feel me. I've always felt like drag in a dress, like I'm in drag, and it just always has. And I mean, you know, and it's interesting because the only time I've really ever worn a dress that's ever worn a dress voluntarily was in India when I met these guys. At that, it's the only time I ever did. It's the only time I ever did, and I'll never forget. And you know, and I would tell you, I would have said prior to this investigation, which is all still very much in process. I do not have a wrap up line here. This is just sharing what's going on with me, and when I have it all figured out, I'll tell you. I do not, but I will tell you that in India, when we all went and shopping, you know, because in India you wear your regular clothes for a little while until you get to the shop where you realize, oh, I can afford anything. I can buy anything I want in this shop. And all of a sudden you know, and they bring so first I bought this white pair of pants and this white really cool thing and this pink little scarf thing. I walked around that day, so hot. So where we were in India, I don't know if it's everywhere, but it seems like everywhere. It's like volcanic. It was so hot. I was so hot I could not wear pants. I got one dress at the Ramana Maharshi little shop from Arif, one little skirt, and the air blowing up my leg. It felt fabulous. I mean, like it's air conditioning, like the whole time you just got air. And so I would have told you that that's why I switched. But now I know in my heart that there was such a, I don't know that it certainly wasn't Anne's call to be free. I didn't even know what that meant. Or Anne's call to truth. I had no idea what they were talking about when they said truth. I didn't know. I thought there was something else I didn't get, and that's okay. But I was willing to do every single thing differently I had ever done, because everything I had done up to that point had gotten me sick, so sick in bed that I just felt like I was having a slow death, the kind that no one comes and visits because you're just slowly dying. Your world gets so much smaller that no one even notices you're there. And I do remember in India looking down at me in these dresses and not seeing Anne, and how freeing that was. How freeing it was to just, I didn't see this persona Anne, and it made it so much easier to just keep dropping these thoughts and dropping these habits. And it was just it was a time of lots of exploration and freedom. So here's what I know. Let me come back to what I know. You will see things from Angelo. You will see things in you you never knew were there. I never knew this self-hate was, and this self-hate's still coming. Every time I sit for a meal, this self-hate keeps coming hard. It's really uncomfortable. Like it's almost a little hard to eat. In fact, you'll face every distorted belief, repressed emotion that's hidden inside you at one point or another. What's more, the old strategy of avoidance, distraction, and resistance will become less viable options. Not only are they not viable, the very, very good news is they're not wanted. There's nothing in me that wants to distract from any of this. And Angelo says this false identity must be seen through in order to wake up to the boundless and timeless reality. That's your essential nature. Now that I know, unconscious places will become fully conscious. They're becoming more conscious. You'll see things you don't always want to see in yourself. And you're voluntarily coming into contact with forces that are vastly more powerful. So let me just end by saying this. I am certainly coming into contact with energies, emotions that are more powerful than anything I've ever experienced. The level of self-hate, meanness, cruelty, just crushing cruelty is kind of feels choking at times. And there's something in me that knows that all of these energies are here to be met. They're just energy. I wouldn't say that to any of you when you were in those energies, but I do know that they're just energies. There's these pockets of energies. And my vow, my promise is, as best I can, to try not to, when I meet them courageously when I can't, but to meet them nonetheless. Maybe you can't meet them in peace, but meet them nonetheless, because all they're asking that I can see is to be met, to be accepted, and to be loved. Rhoda's about to lead a retreat called Inspired Clarity. Last year, I got a chance to lead that. I was firmly in the acceptance, becoming a master of acceptance, accepting everything. And I was right at the precipice of love last year. There's these levels of consciousness that we use as a guide to what our primary practices are motivated by and what we're reaching for. And I can feel that it is, because this is not hard for me to accept all of you just the way you are. This is not hard for me to love all of you just the way you are. That's not a challenge. It's not a challenge to accept me and love me just the way I am. But these particular energies, that's my cutting edge. Accepting them, yes, but loving them is what I'm moving into doing. Opening my heart to them, loving them back into wholeness or through whatever journey they're on, trusting that God knows, life knows, and that's how I'm stepping to this moment. Still an apprentice of the love stage of consciousness, but excited. And I can see that these energies are necessary for me to see where I'm still kind of holding back or believing fear or not trusting, so that I can love that and let go of that and let that be. So I appreciate you all receiving me as you always do, and we receive each other with such love. And I would ask if, let me also say that this is the time where, if you're called, Awakening Together serves you, that there's a QR code and there's also ways to donate that Marisol put in the chat. Please check your heart to see if this is your time to donate to Awakening Together. And then I'll ask Marisol if she'll play our song so that we can contemplate this message. Thank you all. So I just want to conclude. There were two parts in these two songs I just want to share. The first is in American Pie, when it says, "Oh, there we were, all in one place, a generation lost in space with no time left to start again." And that's not true. That's never true. It doesn't matter. Whatever happens, we can always start again. You can take this sinking boat, you can point it home. We've still got time. You can raise your hopeful voice. You have a choice, right? Sing your melody, and I will sing along. We all will, in this incredibly blessed place called Awakening Together. So thank you all so much. I love you, and we have a little bit of time for sharing if you're so called.
Hey, Anne.
Hi, Joanne.
I don't know. It was beautiful. I loved your authenticity, how you connected everything from the time that the music died when you were young to now. And, I also really like how you recognize, and I don't remember the words you use, but to me, the words were, I don't know where this is going or what the message is. I'm still learning. It's still unfolding. I love that, because isn't that what we're all doing? And actually, what comes to me is, when we think we have found the answer, then maybe we've closed up to the unfolding.
Mm. 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 Thank you, my friend. John.
So I don't know how many of you guys will get this sports analogy, but there's a guy who does the fastest 3 minutes in sports, and he covers the entire what happened that week. And every time you do a homily, it's like the fastest 45 minutes. It's just I love listening to you, and it's you cover everything. So today, out here in Colorado, it's the first real cool day. It's cloudy. It's 30, well, 30, I don't know, 30 some degrees. And I started the first fire of the fall.
Mm.
And you start talking about, as I'm listening to your homily, as I'm, getting the fire going, and you're talking about this process and how it looks for you and how it's going to look different for us. At least that's the way I heard it. It probably wasn't any of that. But I'm getting this fire going, and it's starting to smoke a little bit. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, I probably have some creosote that came down. It's the first one. I go outside, I look, it's just smoking like crazy, just burning off and smoking. I come inside, little wisp of smoke are coming up through I've got a top loader on my wood stove, through that top loading area. And it starts to go, and it's going a little faster. And I'm like, man, I hope this goes the way I want it to, because otherwise I'll have to open up all the windows and evacuate the house. And I thought, oh, that's a good idea. I'll run upstairs, open up a couple of windows. And I do that, and I turn on my I've got this air purifier, works really well. I turn that on, take care of the backup smoke, because you can smell it upstairs a little bit. And pretty soon this thing's roaring. I mean, it's just roaring. And there's nothing I can do to stop it. It's just roaring. And all of a sudden I see a little spark shoot up in between the cowl that meets the pipes. Like, oh crap, that's not supposed to happen. But it did. So I'm watching that, and I can see that cowl's getting really hot, and I look at it, and this whole time I'm going, this is awakening. I have no control over what the fuck's going on. I started the fire. Now, maybe that's how it starts, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But the fire was started. And it's burning shit off. And there's no control over it. I mean, there's a little bit, I could add a little less air, a little bit more, but at some point, I realized I just got to go for it. I just got to let this thing burn. And I thought, oh my God, that's exactly what this is like. It's terrifying at times, because you don't know the burn, if the burn's ever going to stop. But, about 45 minutes, an hour later, I've now added a couple more pieces of wood to the fire, because I could have let the fire burn out, but it's not time. So now I've added the wood to the fire, and get these little fans sitting on top of the stove that are just spinning like crazy.
It's red. It's beautiful.
They're doing their thing. That's just all heat activated, and that's what this all feels like. It's just this insane process that once you get going, you really don't want to stop, even though it's uncomfortable as hell. So thanks for enjoying the fire with me.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. And what that prompts me to say is, I invite all of you to come enjoy the fire together, with us together, as we contemplate this book. This is what this whole homily came from, is just this contemplation. And it's on Tuesdays,
5:30 p.m. Eastern time.
5:30 to 6:30. We just do a page a day so far. So you're not behind. We've only been doing this a couple of weeks. And there is something about letting the fire burn together and being able to share that and being able to connect and communicate and just be wherever we are as authentically as we can. And that's what this Assembly of Equals does. That's our core purpose. And I just invite everyone to join us there. I see hands, which we're going to call on, but I also know that we're at the end of this hour. And so I'm going to thank you all again. And I'm going to turn this back to Marisol and invite you all to stay for fellowship. Rhoda and I will be staying, I think. Yes.
Oh.
So, and again, I just, I cannot express in words how held I am by all of you, how much we're doing this together, even if we seem like we're not in the same rooms. This is just a mighty, mighty calling, and I'm so grateful to be called to do this with you. Thank you.
You've been watching our online gathering. It happens weekly on Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. To join us live in the sanctuary, visit our website, awakening-together.org. You'll want to click on Online Sanctuary in the main menu, and then in the drop-down menu, look for How to Enter the Sanctuary. Right there at the top of the page is a clickable link. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary and join with you in fellowship. Thank you again for watching. Also, please know that if you'd like to stay connected via the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube, you can subscribe and hit the bell for more notifications. We hope to see you in the sanctuary.